Welcome to episode 4 of the Moms That Read podcast. I'm McKenzie.
I'm Katarina.
And I'm Kaylee, and we are going to be giving you our initial thoughts on Onyx Storm. I think we're all confused and unwell.
We've kind of just been sitting here for like 10 minutes, like soaking in the ending because we're just like,
I don't understand what I just read.
Well, not what I expected.
It was kind of overwhelming. Well,
it was a lot.
Overwhelming in the confusing aspect, but underwhelming in the fact that I expected more to happen.
Yes.
Agreed. With the end of Iron Flame, it did the same. It was like a mirrored plot. It was like build. These are like the 17 different things that are happening. And then boom, Xaden's a venom. And that was end of story.
Also, major spoilers. Do not listen
Please
to this.
Don't.
If you have not finished Fourth Wing and Iron Flame or Onyx Storm, because we're going to give you all of the rundown of Onyx Storm. So this is a major spoiler.
Yeah, so come back next week when we talk about variation. Download it, save it for later. Because we also in a couple weeks want to come back and deep dive into Onyx Storm after we've had a little bit to like digest and to think through all of the notes and stuff that we've taken. So this might be kind of a lengthy process.
Okay, the first thing I noted was literally on page 2. Like
what?
But did you see that Violet said, I reached for Xaden mentally, but there's only a thick wall of chilled onyx. So Onyx was the...
But like, what do we even think that means? I know Onyx is referring to his eyes, right? Or his...
Yeah, but eventually his eyes turn from Onyx to Amber when he becomes more venom.
But also, don't they refer to Taryn as Onyx?
Yes. His bond, like her bond with him is Onyx.
So is Onyx Storm referring to Taryn or is it referring to Xaden?
I don't know, because it said mentally, so his wall that he blocks Violet, their silver streak is Onyx. The wall that he uses to block it.
But it used to be silver. Are they referring to it as darker now because he's venom?
Possibly. But they also use the cold reference when he is
the ice reference.
More
venom.
Like when that shield is ice, he's like, I'm skating on ice. Like that cold
I'm almost
reference.
about to get to the point where I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Yeah, so it's like the chilled kind of showing the progression.
And black refers to like coldness too.
Yes. Because towards the end, when she said, I'm met with that wall of ice, it wasn't chilled anymore. It was a frozen wall when she tried to reach for him that last time before he channeled.
And then I underlined, Jack knows what Violet is. Did we ever really learn like what Violet is? Or
no.
like...
When I tell you I'm walking away with more questions than answers, other than one of my favorite answers is Xaden's mom.
She's evil. She's horrible.
Evil or ignorant, like not knowing what was happening with the tribunal there.
Yeah, Katarina messaged me and was like, I hate Xaden's mom. And I was like, well, I think it's like one of those contract marriages where she really does not have a choice in the matter. And she didn't know that he was going to try and poison them or anything.
But why she's from Hedotus, right?
I think so.
So, because why would she, but she was already in a contract marriage with Finn. Why would she go and have another contract marriage? Like, I would have assumed that marriage would have been for love, because that's not what it was with Finn. That was a major, like, oh, so we actually know where she's at. Like, that's not just like
And I feel like it shows that she really did not love Xaden at all, if she was willing to do that.
Right.
I don't know. But another thing I saw right there was that Andarna says magic feels different when I change color. So when she changes color is when she altered the venom. So maybe when she changes color is when she is able to kill venom with her fire.
What color was she when she did that?
I don't know. All it says right here is magic feels different when I change color. Maybe my use of power in that moment altered the venom and weakened her enough to blister.
Because it's all about balance, the balance of power. And if she's shifting, like there has to be a balance of that. Like if they're able to wield magic, which I was not expecting them to be able to wield since they can channel so much power anyways. I didn't expect them to need to wield.
And to like have a signet.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that who they were in their previous life?
That's what I'm assuming, because Xaden still has his signet.
True, his shadow signet. Okay,
yeah.
It's just stronger.
So that means Theophany probably is... Okay, well, this goes into something else. But Theophany, initially we thought she was a lightning wielder. But then it talks about her essentially having Lilith's power of
she was
storms.
the balance. Lilith was the balance to her.
Yes. And there's a part in there where it says something about like, I noticed this with your mom. So like they clearly knew each other.
Yeah, they had to
before. But I also wonder if Theophany is a reflection of Violet as well, because we don't fully know what Violet's power with the lightning truly is. So I wonder if she has, because we've talked about her having pure power. So maybe there's more to
what
it
if
than
she's
that?
the balance to the sage, and that's why they want her?
But what's the sage's signet?
We don't know.
I have a theory that the sage is a dreamwalker like Violet, because how else would he be getting into Xaden's dreams? And then they both also end up there at the same time at the end, remember?
Oh.
And that would make sense if he is Violet's mirror.
Yeah, for sure. Which gets rid of the whole Nowlin theory about him being the sage.
Yeah.
What was Naelin's signet?
He could siphon, right?
So he was like Sloane.
Yeah, he was like Sloane.
Okay, so yeah. No, that makes sense.
The sage has to be her mirror.
But then why does Taryn always say we don't talk about him? Something had to have happened with him.
He had to have.
And like him turning venom would make sense if Taryn didn't want to talk about him.
But
if
might
he
not
didn't,
be.
There's got to be something with him that makes Taryn be like, we don't speak his name.
Yes.
Do we know who the sage is?
No. We only know who Berwin is, which is the one that
so he could
we
still
thought Xaden killed, but apparently did not. But then I think Xaden, the whole ending, like Xaden being like, this is the only way.
Well, because he turned full venom to get enough power to save Scale.
Right. Because he killed literally all the other venom there.
Where does Pancheck fall into that?
He turned. And
was he already turned, or he turned in that chapter?
That's a great question.
Because I was very unsure
because it
about
said
that.
Not even because he's supposed to be dead, not because he's more lethal, not
so
even
he is
because
the he we
he's
were talking
supposed
about
to be dead.
Pancheck.
See, I'm still confused because in the first couple of chapters is when we meet Theophany, and then Violet's like, oh, she has long silver hair and a braid, and then they go on to say, not the silver hair, talking about Violet, we need her, and I don't know what the venom need her for.
I don't either, but I also was thinking about her name. So Theo is the
root word god.
Yes.
Yes.
So does she think of herself as a god, or has she risen herself up to?
She was a part of the church. She was
the
a part
high priestess.
Of the Dune. Yeah, and they were like, why be as close to the gods as you can when you can be one?
Yeah, at the end she said that.
But is she actually one, or she just thinks of herself as one? Does that make sense?
As a high priestess, you would have had immeasurable power on the Isle. How was it still not enough? Why serve a god when you can be one?
So has she turned herself venom to become a goddess?
I think that the hair has to do with that temple, because that girl was like her when they went to that Isle, and she was once a part of it. Theophany has a connection to
Violet,
the temple. Yes.
Yeah, she had found something in there where it makes it look like the cure to curing venom is the temple.
Why are you looking for that? I'm still also like, they keep alluding to this is not her path. Like, she is yet to choose her path. Is that path coming from Arg, since he is a precognition?
No,
does he know the path?
When she went to the temple, remember they were like, we still don't know which path she's going in. And they said that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it has to do with Eric. I think it has to do with why she was just touched by a goddess, is because they didn't know which path she was going to choose. And she wasn't fully dedicated.
Right.
Because they didn't know.
I still think there's also a lot within her dad's journals that we don't know yet.
Yeah. Like, why would her dad take her to be dedicated without Lilith knowing?
Right.
That whole dedication doesn't make sense in general.
Well, the whole problem that Mira was talking about, where her and Brennan were at the grandmother's for that summer, and Lilith was with them. Why did Asher also? Why are there two Ashers in this book? Asher Daxton and Asher Sorengale.
It said in one part that Asher Daxton was Asher.
Right,
the
but
dad.
did he take Lilith's name? What would be the deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know. Or this may be totally off, but like if he was Venom, for example, maybe he changed his name after the fact or something. Or he was Venom and cured himself. I don't know.
Do you think Venom changed their names once they turn?
I don't know, but maybe he changed his name for the same reason Brennan changed his name.
Well, we have the theory that Brennan's evil. Mm-hmm. So what if there's no way the dad's bad, right?
I don't think... From what I've read, the missives between him and Lilith, there's no way they're bad people.
I don't know. The dad and Brennan are both a little sus. Like, they might not be bad people, but they definitely did something.
What his dad was spending time doing is sketchy. I 100% believe that he was killed for it. Whatever it was, he did not die of natural causes. He was killed because of his research that he was doing and his little journeys that he was taking on all the Southern Isles.
Maybe he was trying to get all this information and they figured it out. And they killed him because he knew too much.
Right, because I still believe that Atos is involved with the venom. Because Xaden makes it look like it's Panchak. He was like, all the information that you've given him, all the things that you've told them, but he could not have done that alone. And the letters that show up to Violet, Atos just hands to her. He had those, and he was ordered to give them to her.
Yeah. I found the part. It's when they were fighting at the end, and then she said, "Do you know the pain of never being allowed to return, of knowing that it would sever the very thing that kept me untouchable all these years?" So it would sever what makes her venom.
So if she was to go through dedication, could it separate?
I don't know, because it says, "Do you not yearn for the temple?" Well, maybe it is dedication, because it says, "Or are you immune, having only been touched, not dedicated?" So I think something that has to do with the temple is what heals the venom.
Right.
But I just don't know what.
Well, okay. Arik did say the key to saving Tyrandor is
the temple.
protecting the temple.
Mm-hmm. And Violet kept being like, why?
Well, that would protect Xaden's title. I mean, yes, he obviously gave it to
because
Violet.
he would turn back,
right,
and have his
he would still be considered like the leader of Tyrandor, the Duke.
Do y'all feel like this book went the way you were expecting it to?
Absolutely not.
I was expecting some kind of tension between Xaden and Violet, and I felt like it only strengthened their relationship.
100%.
I don't know. I thought so much was going to happen that did not happen. Like, we did correctly guess. We did with our viral Instagram. He left her.
Oh my God. It is a spoiler. It's a spoiler.
But it was an unintentional spoiler.
We posted, if you haven't seen it, we posted a video 3 weeks ago probably about Xaden leaving Violet, and it went viral. And someone posted on there this week and was like, "Why did you post a spoiler?" And we're like, "We didn't. This was 3 weeks ago."
Look at the date.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my God.
Well, in the past couple of days, I've had a couple people comment like the face with the side eyes, like this happened. And I was like, oh God, does that really happen?
But like, look at the date. Look at the date. Like, we did not, it was posted far before this came out. That's hilarious,
Can I just say that, everything points back to Twilight.
It does.
I just want to say Twilight started it all.
But I mean,
no, that's insane.
On accident, we correctly guessed that. Well, and I even commented because someone was like, "There is no way that's gonna happen," and I was like, "It might."
She spent the whole book strengthening their relationship, and then just ripping it apart.
It's giving Edward and Bella.
Oh my God!
She also never could say bye because she had her memories wiped, so she doesn't even like Xaden just left. She had no parting anything with him.
Garrick's also missing too.
I'm also excited to see in the next book what happened in those 12 hours that she doesn't remember, because obviously it happened when she was on the battlefield hurt right after she killed Theophany, and Xaden was like trying to get Scale to talk to Taryn to let him over there because he had fully turned venom. And then, did you notice that he let his walls down enough to let Scale know his idea? And that's the only reason she took him over there? Like, at the end, it was like, I let it down just enough.
Yes.
And she was like, "Do you really want to do that?" And he said, "Yes," convince Taryn. And so, something happened. I want to know how he presented that idea to her. You know what I mean? Or if he forced her to do it, or what happened in those 12 hours.
She probably went along with it.
I mean, probably.
What if she knew it was to protect Tyrandor and to protect Navarre? Because if not, it would have gone, like Bodhi, I don't think would have taken it. Is Bodhi missing? Is he one of the ones missing?
But also, who got the marriage certificate for them? Was it Eric, or was it Bodhi or Garrick? Or Garrick was with Imogen, remember? Because he said, "I'm not leaving you." So we know where he is. Where's Bodhi?
Oh, this says it's an official blessing of your legal binding marriage by the head priestess of Dune's temple.
I also thought it was interesting going on the Garrick Bodie thing. They were left off of that chart in the front, and they're the two that we don't know where they are.
Yeah, Garrick's missed. I know for sure.
So I don't know
because it says that he is.
Yeah. So why were they left off? Why did she intentionally leave them off that chart?
Why are they missing eggs?
I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a big part of the next book. I don't know why.
That part
I saw a theory about that. I did already see a theory about that before we came in here.
Does this go back to the trade with the Crowlish?
I saw where Eric and Bodie were stealing the eggs to go trade for information.
Stop.
Because they knew how to cure venin.
Oh.
So they were doing it behind their back to get the information, to be able to finally be like, okay, we did this bad thing, but we have the information you need.
But why are we just not finding out that eggs are missing?
At the very last page.
At the literal last page, 527.
Well, because remember, Eric flew off. And we didn't know why he flew off. He went to go get the army, and I guess he decided, I'm going to go steal some eggs and go try and get the cure to the venin. At least that's what I'm assuming. I don't know if that's correct, but that would make sense.
Well, if his signet has manifested, he can see the future.
That Xaden had turned venin, and he wanted to go get the cure for it.
Like, he could have seen how it was going to end. And, like, fine.
And he probably knows that if he goes and does this, even if he gets caught, he'll get the information regardless, so it won't matter.
Right. Like, he knows
he's going to get what he needs out of it. But also, if he has precognition, wouldn't he know the answer anyway?
Is precognition like Melgren's? Like, Melgren's is specific to battle outcomes, but
it said he's more powerful than Melgren.
Is like
knowing.
Yeah, like just whatever is going to happen.
That's almost like an intensic.
Mm-hmm. It's probably the strongest form of intensic.
Which means if they find out what he is,
he's going to get killed. Mm-hmm. But we also know now Imogen's second signet is shielding.
Well, and we know in general that the children of the rebellion have a second signet,
right?
Period.
Which is crazy. So every single
should have a new one.
So Sloane's going to develop one.
I have a theory about Xaden with that. I was telling Katarina about it, that I think Xaden's going to have 3 signets. Because every child with the relic tattoo or from the rebellion gets 2 signets, but he has a family line dragon, so he gets 2 from the dragon, so that would mean he has 3, right?
Yeah, we
just haven't seen the third manifest
because he's technically had 2 since he started manifesting,
right? One so from the rebellion.
Would still get one later.
Mm-hmm. One from the rebellion, one from his dragon, and then since it's a family line dragon, he'd get another one. Wonder what it'd be. The ability to turn from venin to human.
I feel like his biggest want is like to protect Violet first of all, but also to protect himself. So maybe some kind of like shielding mechanism.
I wonder if his greatest want will be to reunite with Violet, and he could become a dreamwalker as well, or some form of like entering dreams. So they could meet each other. Since he's already an intensic, something would manifest with it.
We haven't even discussed the second signet yet.
Oh my gosh.
I was shook. Yes. Okay, so it's funny. We went to the Books A Million book release, and while we were there, you had showed the whole like section of her entering Xaden's dream, and you were like, she's probably an intensic. Yeah. So we like got half of that right, but I was not expecting dreams.
Well, we haven't heard of a dreamwalker yet, so we have no idea that this even exists. But my thing is, it makes sense why she's always in Xaden's, because she's tied to Xaden with a bond. But why did she also go into Marin's? Why Marin? Why not Rhiannon, or why not Dane? Why Marin? Maybe what happened within that dream? Like, is that something we need to know?
Maybe she just enters what she needs to enter, or like what she feels like she needs to enter. Because isn't that the night that Kat's boyfriend died? That she did that? Yeah. So maybe it was just like maybe it was just a need to do that. But also Xaden was talking about how they'd kill her if they knew her second signet, because she could essentially walk into someone's dream and murder them without them knowing. Like, hello,
because
bye-bye.
She realized by the 3rd time that she knew she was in a dream, like, she took control of herself within that dream.
And Xaden was even like, wow, that's really quick that you did that. So maybe she's gonna hone into that and like slaughter the world for Xaden, like hold them at knife point in their dreams and be like, you better freaking tell me what I need to know, or else you will die.
That was insane. That was 100% not the ending.
No, we all thought she was going to be a distance wielder, and then Garrick had to, one up us. And
I know Rebecca Yarros says that she does not watch theory videos, but she is out here being like, psych on every single video that like people are coming up with. She's like, you thought she was Desmond Wilder? Nope, somebody else.
I almost think she'd probably be like, oh, y'all think that? I'm gonna make a different character, the Distance Wielder.
Exactly.
So you're almost there, but like not there. You know, that's crazy.
Well,
that's why she made Xaden leave at the end of the book, not the middle of the book. Like,
right, because now he's gonna have to work his way back. Okay, so now new theory. Okay, is the fourth book getting, because we thought the whole third book was gonna be finding a cure,
and getting
which we
Xaden
didn't.
back.
So now is the fourth book gonna be like getting Xaden back, and is the fifth book gonna be them uniting Navarre?
I mean, I guess it would seem that way, but we know Rebecca does not like happy endings, so we'll see. But Variation had a happy ending, so maybe.
I'm also wondering, I think Xaden and Violet are endgame, but Dane
and Sloan.
I freaking love Dane. Y'all can hate me for that. I have said since day one, y'all were like, she's crazy, she likes Dane. Dane was great in this book.
I will say, I don't think there was enough of Dane. Like, when his father said that whole line where he was like, I have no bloodline, that made me angry for Dane. I was just like, okay, you know what, Dane? You have all rights to just like rip Atos apart.
All I'm saying is when Daddy Atos said, eyes on me, I was like, yes, sir. What would you like me to do? But I was telling y'all, I think y'all didn't read into that little interaction as much as I did. So when Sloan...
when he said something about, I'm going to hurt you, and he said, God's don't I know?
No. So whenever he told her to grab his wrist, she was like, you shouldn't have this much power. And he said, I know.
Is he Venom?
I wonder if he has a second signet that nobody knows about, or like why. I don't know why he has so much power, but he has more power than he's supposed to, according to that.
Mind reading, or yeah.
I mean, he may just have whatever that signet is, but
how does she know how much power?
Because she was siphoning it from him.
Like, you shouldn't have this much power.
Well, because she siphoned from Lilith.
She was extremely powerful.
Yeah, and so maybe she just knew that he wasn't supposed to have as much power as he did have.
She can probably feel the power like coursing through her when she's siphoning, and probably was like, wait a second, this is a ton. It is funny though. So I've always said, I feel like Dane made the stupid decisions he did in the first book because he was just so in love with Violet that it clouded his decisions, and he had his dad on his back trying to force him to do stuff. Rebecca Yarros came out with a video basically saying Dane was a stupid 21-year-old. He had the influence of his dad. We love Dane, though, is pretty much what she said.
Right.
So I feel like he is going to have the biggest redemption arc in the whole series, personally. And I think that him and Sloan will end up together. And I love him.
Get behind that.
I love him.
I just really wish Imogen would tell Garrick how she feels. That scene with Quinn, and when she was like, you have got to tell him how you feel, I was like, oh no, I'm not okay. Like,
if you want to watch me bawl my eyes out about that scene, you can watch our live on TikTok or Instagram. I was over here just
like sobbing.
It's fine. We're fine. That was so sad.
You know, though, other than that scene, I hadn't seen spoilers, but there's so many videos of people sitting there like crying after, and I'm like, they're really, other than maybe that scene, the ending I was more like, huh? Than I was.
Yarros likes to throw in a good crying, like 4 chapters before the end of the book, so that at the end of the book you're just like, what?
I was more like WTF than I was anything. I mean, I get it the more I think about it, but also like that was it. That is my reaction. Like that was it.
Where do we go from now?
You could have given me a smidgen more, like a smidgen more.
Like maybe a Xaden POV come out with that limited edition.
Yeah, like a little blurb of what was Xaden thinking in that moment, or a little something something. I feel like if we knew what had went down in those 12 hours, it would have been like, oh my God, but it wasn't.
I feel like knowing Xaden, he probably was thinking, my only goal is to save Violet, and if I give Violet everything, then I can leave. Right. And protect her and protect my kingdom. But also, it's going to crush her.
Okay, so are the Venom defeated? There's no way they're defeated now. No, they've obviously taken a huge hit, but she stayed on course to do what she was supposed to do, which is the only reason they were able to be successful.
Yeah.
But I literally have no words.
We also learned that Venom can wield signets, which is something we didn't know from the previous books, and that's insane. Because
well, I want to know, do you think they're based out of the Barrens? Is that where their base is? Or these other towns that they've taken over since they've been expanding into the continent? Don't they originate from the Barrens? That's where the brother siphoned power from the first time, which separated the three.
Do you think that's where their school is?
That's what I was getting at.
Maybe.
Like, do you think that's where their little community is?
Yeah, maybe.
One of the biggest disappointments for me was the whole situation with Irids. Like,
Yeah.
that
I was
broke
just gonna
my
say
heart
that.
for Andarna. Like, the fact
Yeah.
that they were just like, oh, well, you were the test subject. I'm sorry. Have you met the people of Navarre?
Mm-hmm.
They are greedy.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you expect humans to do within 600 years? Like, if Venin were still going to exist, there was always going to be a competition for power.
Well, and they took Andarna away for like 6 chapters, and then she randomly came back for like a page.
I did
And
not
nothing
expect
happened
her to be
after
there.
that. But nothing happened.
She in Arisha with them?
In like
at
chapter
the end?
64 or something, it talks about her helping.
No,
I
she
guess
was the one that
took down Theophany.
Yeah, and like distracted her enough.
But then there was nothing
But
else
does
about it.
Andarna go back with her when they?
Also, another thing that I caught at the end, whenever Andarna came back, was Brennan ran into the Royston house and was like, Violet. And then Andarna said, I will not let them burn you. And she said, what? Why would my brother burn me? Why would Andarna start to catch on to whatever sketchiness Brennan is doing? What is he
Well, it's
doing?
never liked.
But he said something was wrong. She said something was wrong.
Okay, so what's going to happen now? Because Taryn and Sigil can't be separated. Does Sigil leave Xaden?
Oh, maybe Sigil's really pissed at him.
Right. Sigil's pissed the whole book. Between
Rightfully
the three
so.
books, they were so, like, just, and even Taryn was just, no, I don't want to talk to you about everything.
Yeah. Also, we know that dragons keep secrets and they can't tell their riders everything.
Right.
So maybe Andarna does know something about Brennan.
I bet she does. Because she knew what Violet was before Violet even knew. And she was like, I couldn't tell you.
But, okay, so if Scale and Taryn have to be together, does that mean Xaden and Violet will see each other still?
Well, he said, don't come looking for me.
Or we had the theory before that Sigil and Xaden would somehow break their bond because he turned Venin. So is it possible that that could happen?
I don't think.
Or Taryn and Violet can break their bond since Andarna's back.
don't
Taryn
think
wouldn't
would
do
do
that. I don't think Taryn would do that for that reason. I think that Sigil is so mad at Xaden that it would be that relationship that
But
would be tarnished
would-
versus Taryn and Violet.
But would Xaden risk severing that bond? Because that's what connects him to Violet. If he is still, like, completely Venin. That's the only thing that would connect her to him.
Well, he doesn't feel anything right now. He doesn't have feelings.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think it would matter to him if he disconnected from Violet because he doesn't have any feelings.
What if we know that Venin don't have feelings? What if Violet is so distraught over the fact that Xaden did what he did that she decides to turn Venin to turn off her thoughts and her feelings?
Okay, that's giving Vampire Diaries.
It's giving Bella Swan as she jumped off the cliffs into the...
No, because you know
Raging
in
water.
the Vampire Diaries, you can turn off your emotions and not feel. And I'm like, that's giving Vampire Diaries is what that is. I don't know about that. Because I think that she's going to do what she did at the end of the book and rise up. And I still think she believes in a cure. And I don't think she'll stop fighting for him. And that way, when he comes back, she'll have the throne waiting for him. But also, I think I did see something as a spoiler that I don't think it happened. But I saw where apparently Bodhi and Violet got married.
What?
Because Xaden left and Bodhi is the heir to the throne. And I'm
Well,
like, I
at the
don't, but
end-
it said he nodded, but it didn't say yes or no.
Well,
This
when
is gonna be
she
a Kit
said
situation,
to
isn't it?
Xaden, he nods.
I don't know. But it is weird that Bodhi just mysteriously disappears in the last part of the book. That's bizarre. It's really bizarre.
It's bizarre. He was telling him to leave because
He was,
He
the,
was the
only,
heir?
Yeah. But like, does that mean that Xaden married Bodhi and Violet so they could run the thing together? Or did he marry Violet?
I think he married Violet and let her be solely in charge.
But would he still be in charge if he was completely Venin and ran off? Is my thing.
Well, the whole blessing of the Dune priestess or whatever, I think is what gave her the ability to be head, because the stone is from the hilt of the sword that
Yeah.
she saw that was missing. Like, Xaden's been planning this. What if What if Eric told him how it was going to end, which is why that stone was missing from the sword hilt to begin with?
Which is why he started putting plans into motion, because he said when it happens, not if.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Eric
because he had not manifested even like halfway through the book. So it could have been he manifested and then saw what was going to happen. And then when she talks about like he seems at peace, he has hope like I do, but then he realized like I know what's going to happen.
I do wish we had more arc in this book.
I feel like him.
I do too. I almost like him as much as Riddick, which Riddick's my favorite.
I love Riddick.
Love
I did
Riddick.
nothing but laugh out loud at
Me
the thing.
too.
I literally my light blue tabs in my book are things that made me laugh,
And they're all
I'm pretty
Riddick.
Sure they're all Riddick.
Probably. He's hilarious.
They're so funny.
All I've got to say is I want a cat and I want to name it Broccoli now.
Broccoli.
Because that was the most hilarious thing.
Where he said when Zayden was like fighting that guy in the pit and he said, I'm either completely in love with your boyfriend or utterly terrified of him.
I tabbed that too.
Not sure at the moment.
I tabbed that too. I also love that Riddick's dragon is just like him, and they had a prank war, and he put itching powder on his dragon. Like, is that not the best?
I love that.
I just love in general that in this book, Rebecca Yarros got us into the dragon side of everything.
Yes.
I feel like we got their personalities more than just like Taryn, which Taryn's just like a grumpy old man. So to see like, is it Outram and Fleeshag, Sawyer's dragon, how they like have Fergie, how they have like actual personalities. I thought it was great.
I loved that. And I also was laughing like that little old woman that they met who gave Violet the books and she thought that Zayden was Dane.
Oh my gosh.
Was cracking up at that whole scene.
I was Mira whenever she could not hold anything back, and he was like, yeah, you're exactly as they described Dane Atos. And I was like, no, they did not just call Zayden Dane. No, they did not. But that was hilarious. I also love, because we all know Taryn just has the most dry sense of humor.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, when Violet couldn't wield that close to Zayden, and he was like, he's been a great deal closer when you've wielded, talking about lightning strikes.
Or when Riddick said about the tree falling.
Whenever they came out of the forest, and he was like, that wasn't us, that wasn't us. And Zayden was like, yeah, the lightning strike would have been bigger.
Riddick was like, oh, like, okay.
Okay, honestly though, before I think Dane got redeemed, he has been redeeming himself for the past 2 books, but I think everybody got a little healed whenever he had to walk up and get slapped and say thank you.
It's like, I would have loved to do that.
Honestly, I just think that healed a little part of everybody's heart.
His true redemption, I think, will be if him and Sloane end up together. He is the reason that something happened to Liam. But if something does come between him and Sloane, I think that will be a full circle growth of Sloane and the group of people.
I also think he redeemed himself whenever he got the books for Violet, because she was like, I don't know if I should trust him with this because it's all I have. And he came through. He came through multiple times.
He made me laugh when I'm trying to look back at like this, and it was talking, there were soldiers, and I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about Violet being the weakest part of the group, and it says Dane shakes his head, you know what, never mind. He lifts his middle finger to the soldier. I could just see him being like, whatever, and flicking the guy off. That made me laugh because I was like, you know what, Dane, way to just be the bigger guy and just walk away.
So I love Dane more, but his dad was even worse in this book. I
was giving
vehemently
vibes.
hate him.
He's the worst. I hope he dies a slow, painful death. Also, back to Broccoli. Where is Broccoli? Why was Broccoli not at the end of the book? I need an update on Broccoli. Not carrots, just Broccoli.
Where is the cat?
I bet Mira is snuggling him right now, healing.
Honestly, that was such a random part of the book. It was like thrown in there and nothing happened with it.
Traeger's death got me.
I feel so bad for Kat.
Oh,
I was actually
I was
loving her in
not.
this book.
And then when Violet was like, you know what, you go girl, you've got you someone, and then they took him, and I was just like, what?
For them to be holding hands walking down the beach, literally the chapter before, I was like,
That one got me. And the way that Kat was just like, I don't have any words.
I
We
feel
gotta
so
learn
bad
this.
that she found happiness twice
know.
and it got taken from her twice. And
I
I
hate
really
that.
hope she ends up with somebody. I don't know who. Also, did you notice that Mira and, was it Drake?
Drake.
Mira
Absolutely.
and Drake
Ship
have
that.
something going on?
I ship that.
but I thought Drake was younger.
No, I think they're the similar age because they're of the similar ranking.
Okay.
And I think because they fought at Montserrat against each other and they hated each other.
Was he in Iron Flame?
No.
They mentioned it in Onyx Storm.
Yes.
About him being there.
Yes.
I missed that.
Because she was like, well, you were the one that did this at Montserrat. And he was like, well, you're the one that did this.
But then middle of the book, they started like bantering a little bit. And I was like, oh.
And I was like,
okay.
ooh, I support this.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. If Mira, I mean, I guess she's alive.
That almost got me.
I could see her dying in the series though.
It has to be Brennan. I think it's going to be Brennan.
That dies?
Yeah.
I think it's
like out of the siblings.
Okay, and if he does, I think it's because he turns and Violet kills him. Or something.
Something's going on.
I think he's already something now. I don't know what he is.
I can get behind that.
I don't think he's Venom, but I think he's something.
Okay, so we know something about Nayland, right? So we don't know what, but Taryn won't talk about him. So clearly he did something probably terrible, right?
And it's interesting that he was still mentioned in this book. He is always being referenced.
Yes.
Always.
So, and we know that him and Brennan were close. So what if Brennan mended Nayland, right?
Yeah.
What if they were in cahoots doing something not good together and Brennan saved him because they are whatever they are? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Taryn hates him because of whatever that thing is, you know?
Well, and also they called Theophany a heretic, but we don't know what a heretic is in this book.
Okay, so with the Dune Temple, a heretic is someone who goes against the church, like witchcraft type thing. And if she originally was a part of the High Priestess and then shunned it because she went Venom and started using the power as a source, she would be a heretic.
The only heretic I know is from Vampire Diaries, where it's half witch, half vampire. So, and neither of those
the
are
Scarlet Letter. I think of witch trials. That's what I think of.
I mean, Brennan is sus in some way.
No, I agree with that.
And now Andarna has turned on him. So maybe when the Irids brought her back, they informed her of something, because she wasn't like that until she came back.
And maybe that's why the Irids don't initially like Andarna, because they think that she is working with whatever Brennan is.
Did we ever figure out what Violet's deal with Takaris was? It kept talking about her deal. Well, he's now king because the queen's dead.
I don't remember
which shook
what
me.
The deal was.
He's the one that got them into Diverelli, however you say it. Because he's the one that was friends with the guy.
He kept saying that I could bring you over here whenever I want, but we don't know why.
Well, she keeps talking. She keeps referencing, oh, we have to hold up our end of the deal. And I can't remember if I just forgot something, but I
don't think all three of us would forget it. So I don't know if it was mentioned.
One thing, okay, so the thing that she mentioned about Sloane siphoning when they were trying to, what were they trying to get Sloane to siphon from Brennan? He was trying to mend what?
Wasn't it like a rune?
It was Mira.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We just talked about that.
He was trying to mend Mira. Sloane siphoned, and she mentioned that there were no marks after Sloane siphoned. Is that a thing? If you siphon, do you leave marks on them? Because you remember, Brennan has a rune imprint on his hand.
Yeah.
But she mentioned there were no marks after Sloane siphoned on either one of them.
Well, that doesn't make any sense then.
Like
Unless it has something to do with how much power Dane had, and like something that has to do with that power. I don't know.
I feel like we're getting into theory territory.
We are. Why do you think that Violet and Taryn were the only ones who were able to talk to each other whenever they lost the magic?
I had that as a question.
I think because she's half Venom or half of something, right? Or she has the silver hair. I don't know. I think there was something.
Is it her connection to the Dune? Like to the Dune's temple?
Maybe.
Like the High Priestess and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, because it talks about the power of the priestesses.
I found something for you that you would enjoy, my little Swiftie. Did you notice that it said...
yes, I have that marked in my book. December 13th.
December 13th, the Midnight Massacre.
Yes.
Is what it's called.
Yeah, I love Rebecca Yarros for
that's
that.
A little
Also,
Swiftie.
there was like a couple other lyrics. Where did I put
Also,
that?
I did a TikTok on this that I'll post soon, but she definitely gave us her signet more than once. She did it earlier in this book. Also, I don't know how we didn't see it when she saw Andarna's dreams while she was sleeping in Iron Flame. And then in the playlist she put out, it's literally a Taylor Swift song, Wildest Dreams. I don't know how we did not put A and B together. But it's fine.
While cadets are strongly encouraged not to form romantic attachments while studying in the quadrant, lieutenants are permitted to marry whomever they choose upon graduation.
That's why I didn't know if it was talking about Bodhi or Zayden.
She's
Either
not
way,
graduated.
Violet hasn't graduated.
So she's broken the codex. Is that why she's going to get burned?
Maybe.
She's broken the codex, so the dragons would have to burn her. The dragons carry out the execution of who breaks the codex. That's what that means.
But she did it unwillingly. Unknowingly.
No, she only doesn't know because Imogen wiped her memories.
But they don't know that. That's why Imogen must have wiped her memories. The more you think about this stuff.
So then in the next book, is she going to have to stand before the Empyrean and explain what happened? Probably.
But she was trying to save everybody from the venom.
I will say that the first 10 chapters of this book were just like, it took me forever.
Yeah, I didn't like the first 10 chapters. Like, I felt like it was really slow, honestly, till about mid-book. And then it was okay. Like, do y'all agree that this was not the best book of the 3?
So far, yes, I like a lot of the information. I liked more of the world building because we now know what more of the continent looks like rather than just knowing what Navarre looks like. But there was a lot of times that I was just like, I need something to happen.
I honestly think it was too much. I don't even know that we needed 20 different isles. You know what I mean? I feel like she could have done the same story and not had quite as much world building.
Each of those isles are going to come into play later.
I'm sure they will.
Because she introduced a ton of new people as if we already knew them. And I think it was for the purpose of what's going to happen.
I agree. I feel like this was my least favorite of the 3.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was expecting so much more, and I was a little underwhelmed by it and a little confused.
Yeah.
Like, I ended it seeing all these TikToks of people being like, oh my gosh. And I was like, that's it.
You expected it to be more like gut-wrenching. But now you're just like, now I just have more questions.
Like, the end of Fourth Wing and the end of Iron Flame, I was literally like, oh my gosh, that really just happened. And then at the end of this one, I'm just like, okay, that was it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I think I was kind of like, but not in a way that it would make me emotional.
Yeah, it didn't get me emotionally like the other books, but I will say Xaden in this book, I loved Xaden in this book.
I loved him in this book.
I did love him in this book. Like, he was such
He's the
zaddy.
Xaden that we needed him to be the last 2 books.
Yeah, and then he went and left us. I think that she did that on purpose to get us like, oh my gosh, Zaddy, and then him to leave.
Cue the soundtrack to Twilight.
Cue the soundtrack to Twilight. But I just did not have the emotional connection to this book. Whereas I thought Iron Flame was a little bit boring in the middle because I felt like it was too long. This one was shorter, but I did not feel as much during this one. Like Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, I probably cried throughout 50% of the book. The only time I cried during this book was Quinn and when Traeger died. That's the only 2 parts I cried.
Well, I think this book is shorter because her margins are 0.25. And that gets on my nerves so bad.
No, she
this
said
book
she
would
had
have been big if she had printed it with normal margins.
Well, she said that she had a hard time writing this book, and I feel like I can tell that she had a hard time writing this book.
I feel like outside of some of the language and stuff, it felt very YA.
You think?
I thought in the jumping to the different aisles and just the little things that happen at each of the aisles, it just felt very juvenile compared to the rest of her books.
Yeah.
I agree.
I can see that.
And there wasn't, which I'm not complaining. I'm happy there wasn't that much spice because I had to flip through the couple, because she is very descriptive when she writes spice, and that makes me uncomfortable.
Okay, I will say it's not very frequent, but I think especially towards the end, like the big scene that happens between her, Xaden and Violet, it was intentional to show like his ability. And I think she does a good job with that in Fourth Wing. Like it showed, like it has something to do with the plot. Like it's not just like a one-off. Because when it first happened, that's when he started like being able to lose self-control. And that's when he was like, no, you can't touch me. Yeah. And then in the end, it was like, oh, I have self-control. And he was able to like push it all the way to that last battle.
Yeah. And he was like, I haven't lost control yet, so I'm not wasting any more time with you.
Right.
But I also feel like I agree. It was very juvenile than the other 2.
I can see it.
I just didn't have the emotional connection to this one.
Maybe as the third book, it's like a ground laying book.
Probably. It felt very Lightlark to me.
Well, you got to think back to Twilight. The book that everybody hates the most is the one where Edward leaves Bella.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say this is that book, necessary to the ending of the series.
We still have 2 more.
But not everybody's favorite.
I do like in that video, the TikTok you were watching earlier, the question and answering that she was doing when they asked her about the 4th book, and she said it'll happen when it happens. One, she's taking the summer off, which you go girl, and she always switches to a contemporary. But I do like that she doesn't have the pressure of a deadline. And yes, she's plotted out the whole series, but I think this time may allow the next book to be.
Yeah, I'm really hoping she takes the time she needs to refresh and then makes the next one like fantastic.
Because I need it to be like 4th Wing.
Yeah, this one was less than. Like, I feel like 4th Wing was the absolute best.
It was.
And then Iron Flame was next, and then it's this one. So they've honestly gotten progressively worse. So I hope, and I'm not saying they're bad. I've loved every book. I'm just saying this is the worst one in the series to me, personally, in my opinion. And I still love it, so do not come at me.
Right.
It's the worst one in the series so far because I don't have that emotional connection to it as I did with 4th Wing. Yeah. I was literally hanging on to the end. Yeah. Like 4th every word.
Finished it in 2 days.
Yeah. And this one, I was like, some parts were just really kind of hard to get through because it was a whole lot of setting up what was going on. And that is just a lot for me.
I felt like I was having to force myself to read it because with 4th Wing, I grabbed onto that and I literally for 48 hours could not put the book down.
100%.
This one, I just was like I want to keep reading because I want to know what happens. Like I want to get to the end. But there was only a couple parts in here where I was like, ooh, I've got to read the next chapter to figure out what happens.
Yeah, like when I got toward the middle and everything was happening in the middle, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then the last, like what we read in here, I was like, gimme, gimme, gimme. But other than that, it was kind of slow.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
join us next week. We're going to actually go through Variation. That was our January book club. And then in a couple weeks, we're going to break down our initial thoughts to Onyx Storm, go through our original theories that we've had with the Empyrean series, and just kind of step away from it for a couple weeks and then come back so we can really talk about it.
Bye.